So the way we're going to present today is the first 20 minutes or so I'm going to say a few words just to bring you up to speed with the foundation and also introduce you to a few of my colleagues, and they can share some of the stories of things we've been doing over the past 2 years. It's 2 years since we had one of these events. Obviously, in the interim, we've had a global pandemic, so we didn't have one last year, but we're very proud of what we've done in the interim. We'll then be having a specific presentation on our Asian community work, then meeting our wonderful Down Syndrome Eagles team. And so that's the biggest applause of the night. I'm glad to hear. And then we'll be having a Q&A with Patrick, and Ed, our chair, will wrap up at the end. So that's the order of service for this evening. So a few welcomes and thank yous. So why is everyone in this room here? This isn't some random selection of people here. You've been invited because you've done something very special for us here at Palace for Life Foundation. And that might be because you're a fundraiser, a donor, you might be one of our playmakers, which is a volunteer helping with our work. We've got local partners, so it's great to have organizations in the room like P4YE and Mentivity, local organizations who do great work in the local community. We have some local politicians, which shouldn't be followed by a pantomime boo, but we got some wonderful local politicians here, from Lambeth, from Croydon, Bromley. We have the Met Police in the room. And I'll explain why they're here. They're not here to protect everybody against stuff. They're here because they're doing a lot of great work in partnership with us. We've got some media here. We've got our trustees. Our trustee there is Amanda. Our patrons, I've mentioned our Down Syndrome Eagle team, and most importantly, everyone in red, that's the Palace for Life Foundation staff, so big round of applause to all my colleagues here. Okay, so very briefly, who are we? Many of you know who we are, but just as a recap, we're the official charity and club community organisation of Crystal Palace. We've been around 25 years. We've got about 50 full-time staff and about 70 sessional staff. We're part-funded very generously, actually, by the Premier League and by the club, so it's great to have Andy McLaren from the Premier League in the room. Welcome to you, Andy. And we're all about using the power of Palace to change people's lives. Now, we've got a 3-minute video here we're going to show, just to show how the power of Palace makes a difference to people's lives.
So Palace for Life Foundation, it's the official charity and the official club community organisation of Crystal Palace Football Club. We're all about helping local young people grow through the power of sport. So the power of Palace is key to everything that we do. So the Palace brand inspires young people. Young people, when they meet players, are inspired by them. The power of football and the power of sport, everybody knows, is great for getting young people active, to put them in a more positive frame of mind, to help them make new friends, to keep them physically fit. And all in all, just having the power of the Palace brand makes such a difference in terms of us reaching young people in the local community where maybe other organisations will struggle to have such a great impact. So over the last 3 years, we've supported over 40,000 children and young people in the local community. We've delivered free weekly sport sessions at 30 different venues across South London. We've helped 500 young people get into education, training and employment. We've mentored 400 young people who are at risk of involvement in crime or who have mental health challenges. We've increased our female participation to 38% and our BAME representation to over 50%. So through COVID, we continued working very hard. So we worked with our colleagues in the club on the Palace Kitchen, where we delivered over 30,000 meals for people in the local community who were struggling as a result of the pandemic. We ran school programs throughout, so our coaches continued to work in schools even at the time where everything else was locked down, when schools were only open for young people from very disadvantaged backgrounds and the children of key workers. We ran a bespoke mental health program for children across a whole range of schools in the local area, really focusing on the challenges they were facing from a mental health standpoint. And we got very involved in the local community, in particular working with the My Ends project with local partners in Croydon, with the local police, to help forge strong relationships to help tackle some of the issues that beface young people in our local community. So over the next 3 years, we aim to really grow our reach because there are so many challenges for young people growing up in South London. So we're looking to inspire 3,000 more young people from the most disadvantaged areas through our KICS programme, our Premier League KICS programme, and that's delivering weekly free of charge sporting activities. We're looking to do that at 10 additional venues across the local area. We're looking to kickstart 300 young people into their future careers using our social mobility programme that we're launching and will be running at the new Crystal Palace Football Club Academy. And we're looking to grow our targeted intervention programme, diverting young people away from crime and also supporting young people with mental health challenges with one-to-one mentoring.
Thank you. So that's Palace for Life Foundation in a nutshell. We're all about being South London and proud. So our focal areas are around Bromley, Croydon here, Sutton, and increasingly in Lambeth. So it's good to have some councillors here from Lambeth, where we work kind of in joint venture with Fulham. So we're very much focused around this local area. 6 key areas of work you saw from the film. We're in schools, we're in the community, we run our wonderful disability and mental health programs, we run football courses, as you would probably imagine, routes to employment, and my colleague Susan will talk more about that shortly, and then targeted interventions. And as you saw, great achievements, over 40,000 young people supported over the last 3 years. Looking back, I just want to spend 3 minutes sort of picking out my 3 favourite achievements through lockdown, because it's, as I said, it's 2 years since we last all got together. The first was the Palace Kitchen. 30,000 meals were prepared here by the club chefs and distributed to local charities, to local charitable organisations, mainly with a partner called City Harvest, who did wonderful work to get food out to the people who needed it the most. And that was number 1. The second is about building partnerships in the local community. And on this table here in particular are a group of people that we've worked with since the murder of George Floyd in the summer of 2020. And when that happened, as you can imagine, there was a lot of tension in the local community. Not only were we in the midst of a pandemic, but we were also in a situation, I think, where the trust between the local community and the police reached an all-time low. And there's a gentleman here, Anthony King, who some of you know, but Anthony's done an absolutely fantastic job of bringing together a weekly meeting every Friday at CVA in West Croydon. Anthony's brought together this meeting where the police, people from the local community, local voluntary organisations, local young people, politicians come together to share ideas and thoughts and solve problems about how to bring the local community close to one another. And we've played, sorry, Bobby, just a couple of pictures there is the way we play our part. So we're just one of many partners in that. But we were proud last summer to be able to run 2 tournaments where we played at Selhurst Park on the pitch, and we brought in young people from the local community with the police, played a couple of really great events. Mark, you came down to one of those, which was really appreciated. So we're delighted to be joined up with the local community and to have so many of you here in the room right now. And the third area is around schools and child mental health. So one of the things we're proudest of is when the first lockdown happened and everyone was in shock and most people were staying at home. We weren't allowed to play football. The Premier League got cancelled, but we continued to operate. And the way we continued to operate was in schools. And my colleague Sam here can tell you a little bit about the work that we did in schools over lockdown, and particularly the issues around mental health, because child mental health is such a huge issue, but we did some great work in schools to address that.
Thanks, Mike. Am I standing? Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Hi, everyone. I'm Sam, Primary School Programs Manager. Just a little bit about what we did in schools over lockdown. So it was really, really crucial that we still supported our partner schools during that time when they were really, really going through the ringer. And we had our full and part-time coaches, as Mike said, in those schools, supporting the classes as much as they could. They were also delivering programs, video challenges to those children that were at home still, that weren't able to get into school at that time, which was really, really crucial in making sure that they were still engaged and active during those lockdowns. We also made sure that this year we started creating a virtual mental wellbeing workshop, which was looking to really introduce mental wellbeing to those kids that are kind of 9 to 11 years old, really can start understanding that, that they've been through everything as much as we've all been through that in lockdown, and they really maybe were not as understanding of what was going on during lockdown. Maybe they weren't able to be explained it properly, and that was what we really felt was needed to be introduced to them. So we created that. We delivered that to over 900 children in that lockdown, which I'm really, really proud of. We've got some of the team back here which delivered that, and they did a fantastic job, so well done, guys. And we also delivered a big mental wellbeing webinar supporting those parents as well that really maybe not sure how to deal with their children during lockdown. They're trying to work at home as well. There's probably some parents in the room that are having nightmares back to that when your children were at home and you were trying to work from home, all sorts of things. So trying to help them with that as well. And, you know, just to finish, mental health is now a huge part, a really integral part of what we do within schools and will be for the foreseeable future. So, thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much, Sam. So very proud of our work in schools during the lockdown. Looking forward, I think, fingers crossed, we're through the worst of certainly the effects of the pandemic, but we know it's not too far away. But our focus going forward is that we're launching a new campaign shortly, and it's going to be called our Made in South London campaign. And part of that is to celebrate the fact that so much great stuff comes out of South London. There's a programme on BT Sport that you may have seen called South of the River. And actually, gentleman over here, Sace, because I watched it last night on BT Sport, Sace, you actually appear in that, which is fantastic. But it talks about how much footballing talent comes from within 10 miles of South London. It's something like 14% of all the English-born Premier League players come from South London, which is an amazing statistic. We've got our own amazing footballers from South London, Eze being a great example, and the work that's been done in developing the academy is there to really forge that going forward. So that's why we call our campaign Made in South London, and this isn't really just about football, it's about young people with talent and how we can change their lives. And the issue is, sadly, that growing up in South London, although there's all this talent, is also incredibly tough. And my police colleagues will tell you, if you chat to them later on at the bar, how hard it's been. I think, 27 children in London have been murdered this year. Knife crime's gone up by over 50% in the last 7 years. Only last Thursday, very sadly, a young man was murdered just outside West Croydon Station. So it is really tough around here. But we feel as a Premier League football club, we can do a lot to help because we are so inspirational. You know, the power of the Palace brand, the power of the Palace players and staff, we can really help. And working alongside the likes of Sace and colleagues and the police and other local people, we can really help make a difference. So that's why we're introducing our campaign. We're aiming to raise £1 million over the next 3 years to transform young lives. And the way we're going to do that is in 3 areas: expanding our Premier League Kicks programme, expanding our targeted interventions work, and launching our new social mobility programme. And just to dig deeper into those and to bring my colleagues in, firstly, Premier League Kicks. Premier League Kicks is free of charge every week. Tends to be football, but it doesn't have to be football. So we do trampolining kicks, we do cheerleading kicks, we do dance kicks, but most of the time it's football. And we do that at a number of venues, but our goal over the next 3 years is to double the number of venues that we're in. My colleague Roxanne's just going to say a few words about how we hope to expand kicks across South London.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, as Mike said, I want to echo that football has the power to inspire young people, and there's 2 young guys sitting here that we've been able to inspire, and I think with 10 new venues, we're going to hit 3,000 young people. That's participation, that's workforce, that's potential that they can go on into their communities and be better people. And there's people in this room that we work with on the KICS programme. 10 more venues means better communities. And I'm pleased to say that we're working with people in this room to achieve that. And I'm really proud to be part of the KICS programme, the community engagement, because we do it together. Us on our own, we're not going to achieve it. So it's great to have people in the room to obviously support us on that journey and get more young people playing sport, being active, and being better humans for their community.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rox. So the second goal is about expanding our targeted interventions work. Now, we run some excellent targeted interventions program. Just to show a few logos here, the gentleman there is Jack Rowlands, who is somewhere in the room. Jack's over there. So Jack, I think, pioneered the Divert program, which is where we have someone in Palace uniform, so a Palace for Life coach in the police custody suite. And we've got Lewis here in the room, somewhere probably at the back, who's located in the Croydon custody suite, working with young people when they've been arrested you have this wonderful teachable moment where actually they realize maybe they've done something wrong, but we can help turn their lives around. And that's the Divert program. We have great support from William Waits Memorial Trust for our Breaking the Cycle program, which is all about one-to-one mentoring for young people who've maybe run into difficulties with the police. And then our Advantage program, we're about to launch a new program called Advantage, and that's one-to-one mentoring again, but that's for young people with mental health challenges. And we're doing that in association with South London and Maudsley NHS Trust, planning there to do a lot of one-to-one support with some clinical supervision for young people who may be referred to us by the police or the Youth Offending Service to give them that little bit of extra help. Just to give you a bit more detail here, I'm going to now bring my colleague in here who's called Angel. Now, some of you will have met Angel because Angel's been with us for a number of years, joined us when you were 16 on one of our programs, but you've graduated from being a participant to now being one of our mentors. So, Angel, before we do that, just tell me a little bit, the young man who was tragically murdered last week, that was last week, you knew the young man.
Yes, so,
Would you like to stand up?
sorry. Hi, everyone. So, the Jermaine Calls, who tragically was murdered, sorry, bear with me, was murdered last week outside West Croydon train station, was one of my peers at college. We studied the same sport course, and it was her younger brother, and I had the pleasure of knowing him and being in his presence in his life. Previous to that, my other friend Shane, he was murdered in Brixton not too long ago. That was about 2 months ago as well, so they've been a victim of criminality and knife crime within the area. So being with someone like Jermaine, who's just 14, who is literally just a child, who is not gang affiliated, someone that is just literally growing up in the area, that's why I think targeted intervention is so important. So coming back from my background, when I started with the foundation back when I was 16 years old, it gave me a safe space. We do one-to-one mentoring, which is not one size fits all. It's specifically tailored to each young person and what their needs are. So there isn't something that we miss. It's specifically what they would like to work on and what they would like to do. And I think that's why targeted intervention is so important, because it could prevent things like this happening. If them young people that were there in West Croydon had somewhere to be, say the next day, they wouldn't go out and be causing trouble. And I know that from first-hand experience. So having that safe place to be and being supported by someone in the local community, whether it be the Met and our partners, or us having the power of the Palace badge, it is vital that we get out there and we work with a lot more young people to prevent these things happening, because giving them that safe place and something to do keeps that thing in the back of your mind from stopping you and deter you from criminality. On top of that, it helps you increase better behaviours as well as reaching their academic potential, because like Mike said, South London is full of so much talent. And like you say, it's not just about football, but also just over around. We have doctors, we have other professionals that are our next generation, and it's important to support them every step of the way and give them that extra helping hand.
Thank you so much, Angel. That was very brave of you to share that very sad story. And the third area we want to really grow, and we're launching a new social mobility program. And this is using our wonderful new facilities at the Academy. Here's a picture of Mr. Gareth Southgate about 4 weeks ago, cutting the ribbon to open the Academy. And Steve has been very generous to say that we can use the facilities at the Academy for training and education and football. And I'm going to bring in now my colleague Susan, who will talk about the launch of our social mobility program.
Thanks, Mike. We're really excited about the social mobility program. As you know, young people need the tools to get close to work, close to education, close to training. And it's not just a CV or a mock interview that they need. They need to expand their network. They need to be brought closer to industries that they may not know of. They need to know more about different options in terms of entrepreneurship, business, and things like that. So that's what we're going to be doing with the social mobility program. We're not only going to be training young people and giving them that opportunity, we're actually going to financially support them if they need help with actually acquiring a license, or if they need to pay for a course that allows them to actually get into work. So we're really excited about it, and being at the Academy will be absolutely amazing.
Brilliant. Thank you, Susan. And a very quick shout out to 6 people here tonight from our Vice President's Club here at Crystal Palace, who are very kindly supporting that program supporting the Centre Forward Fund, where we got budgets of money to help young people who otherwise couldn't afford to maybe buy training or buy football boots or whatever, and that fund will help them do that. Just very briefly, how can you help? You're not here to give money. That's not what tonight's about. But there are cards on your table, and if you know somebody who you think would be interested in becoming an investor in the foundation, or if you'd like to yourself, fill in one of these cards and give them to Bobby over here afterwards, because we're looking, as I say, to raise £1 million over the next 3 years, and any help that you can give, either in pushing us in the right direction on that, would be amazing. Finally, before I hand over to Jim Daly, who's going to do the rest of the session, a big thank you to our marathon marchers. Who in the room is a marathon marcher? Brilliant. Great to have. So we got a few letters of complaint from some wonderful marathon marchers who we couldn't fit in today, so we had to hand select either people who've done all 5 of our marathon marches or some of the very highest fundraisers. This year we raised over £100,000. And just a date for the diary, if you're a cyclist, we're doing Bike to Southampton for the Southampton match at the end of April. So if you're interested in that, again, go and talk to Bobby. Just moving on, I'm now going to bring Mr. Jim Daly into the room. To some of you, anyone who follows 5-Year Plan will know that Jim needs no introduction. Jim is one of the key presenters. He's also a comedian, and which, as his friends from the 5-Year Plan are laughing, that maybe says it all. But over to you, Jim, to take on the rest of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Hopefully that's not the biggest laugh I get tonight, because that would be very awkward. Thank you to Mike. Thank you to the Palace for Life volunteers. Thank you, Angel, as well. It's lovely to meet you. You are a true inspiration. So thank you very much as well for you to being here as well. It's great to recognise so many people from the Marathon March. Another cheer for them. Great to see them. Really good to see you. In slightly better condition than the last time I saw you, so that's obviously very good as well. What we're going to do tonight is you're going to hear from some of the projects that your money has fundraised to support tonight. So we'll start with that, and in the second half, we're going to have a Q&A with Mr. Patrick Vieira himself. So much like watching Palace, it's going to be a good first half, going to be a great second half. Oh, yes. It's going to be good. As you can see later on, the rest of Boyzone will be joining me here for a song as well, which will be great. And it's great to know that if my jokes don't land, the comedy police are here as well to take me away, which is great. The first people we're going to hear from is people involved in the Get Involved project. And before we welcome them on stage, we've got a quick video to show what that's about. Right, lovely. So please welcome to the stage Hazmi, Akran and Abdullah. Hello lads, how you doing? Good, good, good. Full of excitement. So we've got Hazmi, who's our project lead there. We've got Abdullah, who is I love the wave. A former participant, now a member of staff at Palace for Life, referees in the Mosque League, and works at holiday activity camps. You did tell me earlier you quite enjoy being a referee. Oh, few boos. What's the best thing about being a ref?
Being the man in the middle.
Like it a lot. We've also got Akran, also formerly a participant, and now Palace for Life have put him through his FA Level 1. He now volunteers at Palace for Life as well. So I think a round of applause for those guys for coming through. It's great to see you guys getting involved in Get Involved. Hazmi, first of all, what is the Get Involved project and why is it so important?
Yeah, so the Get Involved project is something that's happened quite recently in the last 3 years. So what we do, we go around in the local community and try and get more Asians involved in football, which is really important. We try and remove barriers that were in place previously. For example, with our recent women's session, what we do is that we make sure there's a female member of staff that's leading the coaching session. We make sure that the session's indoors and an enclosed space so they feel completely comfortable in taking part. We also make sure, for example, our Ramadan sessions that took place quite recently, that Palace helped out quite a lot with. We made sure that that session took place after the boys had finished breaking their fasts, and then we also make sure that within those sessions we break for when participants need to pray. So yeah, we're making sure that those barriers are out of the way. We're engaging children from 4 years old all the way to the women and the men who are in their 60s. Yeah, so it is really important what we're doing at the moment. And I think an example of why it's so important is that there are so many Asians at the moment within the game that aren't necessarily getting those coaching roles or getting involved in football as they would like because of those barriers. And I think that's what our job is to do, is to try and take those barriers down and ensure that they have the opportunity to play football.
Yeah, fantastic work, and it's really good you're giving those opportunities. That is fantastic. Abdullah, the man in the middle. What does it mean to you having a project like this?
It means a lot because it's given me an opportunity to engage with other people, you know, just having fun, playing football. And obviously now I'm a coach now, and I'm happy about that. So, and hopefully take coaching to the next stage like Mr. Patrick Vieira here. So, yeah, it's just a great thing to have.
Fantastic, aiming high, I love that.
Yeah, man.
Akran, tell us a bit about how you got involved in this project.
So I think back in 2018, I think I was in year 10, and obviously Hazmi used to come to my school. It was Al Khair Secondary School, it's a private Muslim school in East Croydon. And we used to have these after-school activities just of football for like roughly an hour. And I've been with Hazmi from day one, so I'm sure he can vouch that I'm a very good person to work with. And obviously, I felt like I enjoyed these activities we had because, you know, play football with people in school, after school, you know, get your mind away from, you know, hard work, a hard day at school, you know, it was good. And obviously, I wanted to, you know, it felt good to me. It felt like I wanted to do more with it. So Hazmi, obviously, when he did start the Get Involved project, he brought me on with another individual to, you know, start playing football and bring others together in this kind of different venues, like it was mentioned earlier. And so, obviously, now I'm in year 13. It's been 4 years now. Same with Hazmi as well. It's been a long journey, but it's been very eventful. And if I be honest, I really like it. And I do aim to achieve higher because it's something... I mean, it's like kind of an escapism from the real world, if you get what I mean. Yeah, from like, even for other people to like, you know, go out, enjoy themselves, of different ages, different ethnicities, everything, right? It's kind of an escapism for them. And I feel like by going forward, I feel like I can, you know, help the younger, you know, generation, the youth, people who are, you know, less fortunate than us to kind of get together and play a bit of football and have fun.
Fantastic, that's fantastic. That is really, really good to hear from you. Hazmi, just really quickly, tell us about what impact you've seen with this project in the local community.
Yeah, so there's been a massive impact with the local community. I think one great example is how it doesn't just affect the Asian community, but it affects the wider community as a whole. Yesterday, we actually took a team of 8 of our players to one of Primary Stars tournaments that Sam and his team put together. And during the lunchtime, our players stopped to pray. So we came to the side and we decided that we're gonna pray at the side. And it just so happened that there was another team that was next to us, and that team stopped playing football while we were praying. And the teacher came to me afterwards and actually said, you know, how fantastic it was that we came down to the event and prayed in front of their school. And then she explained that at her school they didn't really have that many Muslims at the school, and they didn't really understand. And obviously everything that's going on with the media at the moment, having these social interactions are so important. And she said at the end of it that she was so happy that we had got there and we had prayed, and the fact she was happy that her participants had respectfully let us do that, and then it would become, you know, a greater learning experience than just winning trophies and being in a tournament.
Fantastic stuff. And Hamzy, if you can just tell us really quickly at the end as well, why is it important that participants can mix in with other programs? Because we've seen participants in other PFL programs as well.
Yeah, so that's been, after lockdown, we couldn't get one of our venues, so we joined up with Kicks. And when we joined up with Kicks, it was half our participants and roughly half their participants as well. And then what we would do within that program, again, the same story about the prayer time, so we would stop the session. And obviously not everyone was Muslim, even within my session, although it's Asians, not all Asians are Muslims, so we would stop the session and then after that we'd pray. And getting that understanding today, especially in today's society, is so important for kids that are growing up.
Fantastic stuff, that's brilliant. Well, can you, round of applause please for Hazmi, Abdullah and Akram. And I'm looking forward to seeing Akram and Abdullah in the dugout at Selhurst at some point. I'm sure we will. Please take a seat, guys. Thank you very much. It's great to hear from you. Okay, I'd now like to introduce some other people to the stage, another very popular project that Palace for Life do. So please welcome to the stage Ben, Brandon and Sandra from the Down Syndrome Eagles. Come on. Keep the applause going, guys, if you can. Come on, let's do it. Hello, you're right. Hey, good man. Hey, Sandra, you okay? Oh, great team photo. Look at that. Brandon. Right, we've got Brandon, who's a participant. We've got Sandra, who is Brandon's mum, and Ben, who is the project lead for the DS Eagles. It's great to have them on stage here. Hello, how you doing? You're standing. Okay, yeah, no problem. That makes 2 of us. That makes me feel a little less awkward. Sandra, it's lovely to meet you. If you could start off by telling us, how long have you and Brandon been coming to the DS Eagles?
We've been going for about 8-9 years now.
Wow, long time.
Yeah, long time.
Fantastic. And what's been the best thing about taking part with the DS Eagles?
Well, you've enjoyed going because he's met a lot of friends, and it's, you know, something to go to and enjoy.
Fantastic.
And for us parents as well, because I've made a lot of friends from ever since I've gone there as well.
Fantastic. Ben, if you could tell us really quickly, what's the best part about running the DS Eagles?
The best part is it's a very rewarding programme, and also they let you know if you're doing something good and also something bad. The banter is fantastic with them, and it's one of the highlights of my week.
Fantastic. Well, we can see tonight as well the DS Eagles here. Fantastic energy from you guys. So round of applause again for DS Eagles. It's great having them here. No, it's a very, very popular programme as well. Brandon, if I could ask you a question.
Why?
All right, I'll go through as representative. What has been the best thing about being a DS Eagle?
What's been the best thing about being a DS Eagle? Come on, tell us. What? Having matches, being with your friends. All right, I won't look at it. Yeah, having matches and being around his friends and that's the best thing.
Fantastic. And Brandon, what's your favourite thing about football?
Brandon, you like running?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you look at us? Come on. It's really good because, I mean, for a lot of the boys, especially some of them who like Brandon, who's autistic as well, they find it hard. And I've noticed that a lot of the other boys, they will help them and include them into it, which is really good.
Fantastic. Because it's all about doing it together, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Fantastic. Now, I know during lockdown, obviously, sessions had to stop for obvious reasons, but there was Zoom sessions, wasn't there?
Oh, that was fantastic because the first part of it, when they didn't have it, found it hard. Always asking, when is he going football? When is he going to go back to groups and that lot? Oh, it was really hard. But once they put the Zoom sessions on, oh my God, it was amazing. He loved it. He couldn't wait, to get on there, just to see all of his football team on there. Oh.
And what sort of things did they do on the Zoom sessions?
We've done a lot of talking. We've done quiz. The first couple of sessions, we were doing little activities, which I had to find space inside the home to try and do it. But, but it was amazing. No, they actually had a fun time. And it's just keeping them involved in having something to do because lockdown, oh God, made a sort of changed a lot of their lives.
Well, it's a round of applause, I think, for that, because I'm sure it really, really helped, which is brilliant. And Sandra, if you can tell me, for you as a parent, what is the best thing about the DS Eagles?
Oh, I just love it, and it's just been around all my friends. I've made so many friends there, and we all keep in contact with each other, a lot of us, and we take the boys out on the weekend, go in cinema and that, and that's through just being involved with doing the DS Eagle.
Fantastic. And that's really what football is about, isn't it? Bringing people together and making friends through that. So that is absolutely fantastic.
It's not just for the boys, it's for the parents, like I say. It's for all of us. We all come together as one.
That's brilliant. And that's what Palace for Life does and what football does, bringing people together. So that is brilliant. Another round of applause for Sandra, Brandon and Ben. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. Now, I'm delighted to announce that the DS Eagles have been taking part in the fundraising activities for children in need, and they've raised a lot of money. So, to present the team with a cheque, please welcome your Palace for Life patron, Susanna Reid. Right, so I'd like to welcome the team up on stage, please. So, if you're going to round of applause for the DS Eagles to come on stage and get their cheque. Well done.
Well, this is absolutely terrific. This is more than £1,000 that you've raised for children in need. Can you just tell us how you did this?
Oh, yeah. No, go on then, James. Go on then, James.
Captain James,
Yes.
tell us.
What about?
Then how did you raise all this money for children in need? What did you do?
We did Palace for football on our team, and I need to win. That's why.
And absolutely. And look what you've won for children in need. That's another cause close to my heart. It's absolutely brilliant. Well done. Congratulations to you. When's your next training session?
Next week.
Brilliant. And when's your who are you playing? Have you got a match coming up?
I'm not sure yet, but Mark will organise it.
Yeah, okay, Mark and Ben are organising. Right, have you got it all organised? Yeah. They keep you in shape, don't they? They're the ones who are in charge.
They're on my toes.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, look, it's absolutely terrific to see you. I feel really lucky to be here I've been a Palace fan my entire life. When we talk about made in London, I feel very much made in London. I was born and raised in Croydon, and I still live just 20 minutes away in South London. I feel South London and proud, and I have to say I've never been more proud to be a fan and a patron than tonight. What an absolutely terrific... Congratulations, kids. It's an honour to meet you, and thank you for letting me present you with this check.
I should say we did have someone trying to sneak off with a check then, and I saw the policeman twitching. They were about to... Right, I think, Susanna, you've got a few more words to say.
Yeah, I've been a patron for a couple of years, but it's just magical to be here and to see some of the work that's being done, the incredible work that's being done. I've been down to primary kicks. I've played football with the girls at primary school, and I remember feeling their enthusiasm and feeling really inspired by them as patron for Palace for Life, and wishing that I had something like that when I was young. You know, talking to Angel, knowing about your mentoring work and how it's benefited you and how you're now helping others is absolutely fantastic. Meeting the Down syndrome team, I mean, you're just terrific, all of you. Look, there are a number of projects which are really close to my heart, and I knew before the pandemic how important the work is that you're all doing. During the pandemic, I got in touch with Mike and said, is there anything we can do that I can particularly help with? And he told me that Palace for Life had connected with an organisation which was trying to get laptops and devices out to those kids who were struggling with home learning. And my goodness, we were struggling with home learning, but I just couldn't imagine what it was going to be like for those who didn't have a device, a laptop, something to work on. And as a result of that campaign, dozens of laptops and phones went out to kids who didn't have a way of keeping in touch with school during the pandemic. And I know that the Christmas campaign is going to be helping one of the hardest pressed groups in our society. There is a refugee crisis. There are a lot of refugees being looked after in South London, and there is going to be an appeal to fans to donate football boots for refugees. So completely behind that, and I use obviously my social media channels to push everything that the foundation is doing. I just want to mention that I feel particularly affected and touched and moved to support the work that is being done to tackle knife crime. And my heart breaks, Angel, for anybody who's affected. I've got 3 teenage boys, and it's hard to find a group of teenagers in South London who are not affected in some way by knife crime. 25 years ago, just about the time when the foundation was being set up, I was walking through South London, and I'd just taken a load of cash out of a cash machine to go out for a night out. And a young lad came up to me and got my bag off me. And as he ran away, I ran after him. And in fact, he dropped my bag. He took the money. But I looked down at the bag and at my coat, and there was a knife slash across my body, through my clothes and through my bag, but it had not touched my skin. I was lucky, and I wish that 25 years ago, somebody had intervened with that young lad so that he didn't get into a position where he was picking up a knife and slashing bags off people who were walking through the streets. And so I support everything you're doing in order to help those kids before they think that that's okay, or once they think that's okay, or any of their friends who are affected. And as I said earlier, I've been a proud Palace fan all my life, but I'm so proud to be a patron of this incredible foundation and keep doing the incredible work that you're all doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I think we are very lucky at the foundation to have fantastic patrons like Susanna, like Brighty, and people we really look up to and respect, and we appreciate that a lot. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Right, we have now got a Q&A with current Palace manager, Patrick Vieira. So please, welcome to the stage, Patrick Vieira. Do I walk over? Is it going to be awkward? It's a bit awkward, isn't it? Do we share seats? Shall we?
You can.
Okay, thank
sit next to
you.
me.
Okay. I've got a few questions for Patrick, and then we are going to open it up for some questions to the floor. I have been told questions about Conor Gallagher are banned, unfortunately. But I did try. So, Patrick, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We've had some examples of the great work that Palace for Life does. How important is Palace for Life in our community?
I think what you guys doing for the community, it's fantastic. And I think this is one of the reasons that I really love football, because football should bring people together. And just reminding myself about growing up in Africa, going to the suburb of Paris, and growing up in tough, difficult area. And that's why this area, South London, remind me of where I grew up in Paris. So football helped me to be here today. And yes, we're going to school, we're learning a lot, but football make my education. And football allowed me to travel around the world, to meet different people, different culture, and learn from those people that I had around me. And using football to develop young people, using football to bring people together, it's something that I strongly believe, the power of football that we all love very much. So being here tonight make me even prouder to play the game, to coach it, and to be here and to help and to support Mike and his team, because you guys doing a fantastic job, and people from outside don't realize yet the power of football.
Fantastic. I should say you've got the right length legs for this, because my legs are not quite touching the floor. I feel like I'm sitting very awkwardly. Talking of football as a power for education, you set up the Diambars Institute back home in Senegal in 2003. Tell us a bit about how important football can be as a tool for education.
It is really important, and you know, when you play the game, when you are a footballer, you don't think about other people. You're thinking about yourself and the world growing around yourself. And I was lucky enough is when I was playing for the French national team, I was inspired by the Lilian Thuram, the Marcel Desailly, that explained me that I need to help. I need to use my notoriety to help other young people to be the next Patrick. And that is why I grew up in Senegal, and I know that in Africa there is a lot of young players who dream about being a football players, but we don't have the infrastructure to help them to challenge themselves and to improve themselves. So we decided to use the power of football to build a facility called Diambars, where we were using football to promote the education. And today we had young players who want to be a physiotherapist, who want to be a teacher. So they're using the power of the game to find something that they love around the game. And that was a fantastic project. You are not feeling well at all.
Oh, that's better. Now I brought the legs up. That's better. That's great. It's also great to see Patrick and Abdullah going head to head. I'm sure we'll see many times again in the future in dugouts. Now, Patrick, we've heard about how amazing the Palace fans are tonight and the work they do, but how important is the fan base and the community to the team itself?
But you know, we, as a football club, and there's a lot for me to learn from this football club and the relationship between the club and the community. It was really clear from the first day that this football club is part of the community. It's about first having those young players that can play in our football club, that fans, people can identify themselves. And I think we are quite really lucky because of the talented players that we have around, and having those players who played in the first team who are a really good example, I will say it. Because when you grow up as a young player, you always idolize people, idolize players, but you don't really know their background. You don't know what they went through to be successful. And today we have some really good example in our first team that grow up next door and can be a really good example because you know where they came from. So if they succeed, you have to say to yourself, if he succeed, why we can do it? And I think this is what this football club is all about as well, giving the opportunity to the community to work around the first team, around the academy. And if we have those talented players who can come through the academy and play for the first team, I think the fans will be really pleased and really happy with that.
Fantastic. Now, obviously, we've heard about the work that fans have done with the Marathon March, raising money for the foundation. There were stories about fans raising money for food banks locally. How impressed have you been with Palace fans, not just in Selhurst, but the work outside as well?
I think it's been fantastic. You know, I've been in England since I was 19 years old, and Palace, what they are doing, but I will have to say in England, the support from clubs in general for the community has been really impressive. I travel around, I played in France, I played in Italy, and this is the country, I will say, that there is this kind of really strong relationship between community and the football clubs. And I think we have to be proud of what we are doing for the community.
Absolutely right. I completely agree. Final question from me before we throw it open to the floor. Sort of 40, 50 million would probably do it, wouldn't I think, for Connor? Probably. 55, I don't know.
I think you have to ask the question to Mark. Where's Mark? Mark, answer the question.
We'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. Final question from me. Obviously, I mean, you settled in very quickly to the role at Palace. The results have been brilliant. The performances have been fantastic. Everything seems to have fallen into place very quickly.
Yeah, I think it's all a credit to the people at the football club. When I came over, I find a warm football club. I think that is the strength, is the foundation of this football club. And it was easy for the staff and myself to feel like at home, because the support that we have every day has been fantastic. There's a group of players who love playing for the football club and want to do well for the football club. So that is really good for me because the benchmark of the demand of those players to win football matches, but to be involved in the community as well, it's quite positive.
Fantastic. Now, we have a couple of questions from the DS Eagles. So, first question is from Max. Max, can you make yourself known? Hello, can we get a mic? Here he comes. Here's a man on a mission. Hello, Max. Yeah. Hello, Max. So, Max, are you ready? Are you ready for your question? What's your question to Patrick?
Who's your toughest player in your team? Well, if you start at Palace, what is your toughest player for Arsenal?
My toughest players that when I was playing against, yes. I will say Roy Keane. I have to say Roy Keane. I have to say. Do you want to know why?
Yes.
Yes. I will be nice. I will be nice. Because I always loved playing against him because he was strong, but he was really competitive, and I just like to challenge myself against the best, and he was one of the best.
It's a sort of a love-hate relationship.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
We'll
Yes,
go with that.
I will say that.
Max, thank you very much. Round of applause to Max.
Top man.
I love him.
What a legend, what a legend. And then James. James, can you make yourself... Here he comes. Okay, James, take a seat.
You good?
Right, what's your question for Patrick?
Well, did he play from Arsenal?
Yes.
Yes, he do. Can I hold this, all right?
Yes.
All right. I've got a question for you, Patrick.
He's getting comfy.
Yeah. Do you be in top 4?
Oh, that's big ambitions.
There's another question, no. Listen, we want to do well. You understand what I mean? We want to challenge ourselves. We want to win football matches, and we don't know where we can finish at the table, but we want to finish as high as we can. And the good things about this football club is that we have young players who want to challenge themselves to be a better players and to be at the higher level. And I think if we have that, that will give us more chance of winning football matches. That will allow us to be more successful. So we are ambitious. We're going to give ourselves the best chance to be, because the players working really hard every day in training. And we have a fantastic support at home. And I think if we put in all the ingredients together, hopefully it can be a good season. But if we finish in the top 4, I'll take you for dinner. I can take it back.
Fantastic. Right. One more question, James.
One more?
Yes. If you played for Crystal Palace, right? Do you is it can be your team? But well, sometimes I mean you team for well, I need to join your team because I'm trying to practice with Ben and that, and I'm trying to do practice with him with you.
Ben is a good coach, you know. Ben is good coach, you know. But you know what we can do? We will organize that when the COVID situation will be better, you will come to the training facility, and the staff and myself, we will give you a training session. We have a deal.
Thank you, James. Yeah, I love that. James, thank you very much, James. Thank you. That was brilliant. Good round of applause to James. What a pro. What a pro. Fantastic. Thank you. Guys, that's the end of our Q&A. Patrick Vieira, please show your love and appreciation for Mr. Patrick Vieira.
Thank you.
Guys, I'd just like to bring in Ed Warner for a couple of words at the end, but that's all from me tonight. Thanks for being a brilliant crowd. I'm going to hand you over to Ed. Is there another microphone? Sorry.
Well, we said we'd finish at 7 o'clock, and we're almost bang on. So just a couple of words from me. I mean, it's a pure coincidence that we're having this evening on the day that Tracy Crouch has released her fan-led review into football in England. And there's 164 pages there of of analysis of what's wrong with the game and recommendations of ways in which it could be improved. And I'm sure there's some fantastic ideas in there. However, as a Crystal Palace fan, I look at everything here today, feel incredibly proud of what we're doing and think we're ahead of the game. I've just worked out this is my 50th season as a fan. It's not all Wilf scoring the winner away at the Amex in the semi-final of the playoffs against Brighton. It's not always 2-0 away at the Etihad against Man City, although I have a feeling it might be that most seasons while we got Patrick as the manager. But through those 50 years, and I'm sure many people in the room will have experienced it as well, there's lots of really tough times, some miserable times on the pitch. But all the way through, I've been very, very proud to be a Palace fan because there's something enormously special about the fabric of this club. It's about where it's based. It's about what we stand for. We haven't always had the leadership at the top in the boardroom that we might have liked as fans, but it hasn't stopped us as fans believing in what this club, Crystal Palace, stands for. However, for the last decade, we've absolutely had the right leadership. And I must say that without the support of our owners, Steve Parish as the chair, but every investor in the club, this foundation wouldn't be what it is today. It's a partnership. Now, in this room, there's lots and lots of people that have helped the work of the foundation. Thank you very much. We've had all those thank yous earlier. I'll just reiterate them. But what I would say is that it's an integrated effort. It's the football club, it's the fans, it's the foundation. We're all working together. Without any one of those three, we would be weaker. So if here today you feel there's more you could do to help us, help the community, help the club, whether that's financially, whether it's your time, whether it's introductions you can make, please do introduce yourselves to us. If it's not today, then subsequently, because there's so much more we can do. So I will say thank you to all of you, but in particular, I'd love to say thank you to the club because it is a joint effort. There's many clubs up and down the land that are not as supportive of their foundations as Palace are of us. Vice versa, there are many foundations which are stronger than the clubs that they represent. But here, it really is a team effort. Together we're strong, we're South London and proud, and we want to make more people made in South London. So thank you for being here. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Yeah. Thank you very much, Ed. Words I think we can all appreciate and agree with. I'd just like to bring on really quickly our chairman, Steve Parish, for a couple of words at the end as well.
Hi, guys. Is this working? Yeah, it's good. Every time I'm with Angel, I get emotional, so I can't look over that. I did a whole marathon march that I cried the whole way. The stories that she told me. I think Ed put it very well. On a day where we're told that football lurches from crisis to crisis, I would love the people that wrote that report to come and sit in this room and listen to what everybody does and how special the work that a lot of Premier League clubs do, but especially this one do. Everybody's been thanked tonight. I want to just add my thanks to two very important people that run the whole show in the foundation, Mike and Ed, who've done an absolutely spectacular job. I was just chatting to Barry at the back there, and he said it's amazing how this thing's grown and how much more we're able to do in the community. And obviously, the Academy's number one thing is to try and make some footballers. But closely behind that is to try and help young people, young men, young women, improve their lives. And I think the facility that we've built will be just huge for all of the things that the foundation can help achieve. And of course, I'd like to thank Patrick for giving his time to come tonight. We're very lucky to have him. I was going to ask a question what the team was on Saturday, but I had my hand up and nobody would let me speak. But honestly, there's too many people to thank. The vice presidents, who've done this evening, are always brilliant, always supportive. See them at away games. They've been coming probably longer than me, some of them. The police, everybody involved in the foundation, thanks very much. It's been a privilege to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. Guys, that is the end of our evening. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you for your support and everything you do for the foundation. We love you loads. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you. Good night.